You're listening to Business Stories with Ryan Arcaracci, where I speak to business professionals from all walks of life. Thanks for listening, and let's get to it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Business Stories podcast. And as you know, in the last few episodes, I've been talking to a lot of business coaches, people that are really helping people out there who are maybe at a crossroads in their career, or they've been fortunately laid off or let go, and they're looking for some new paths, some new opportunities. So I bring in a lot of these people who are out there in the field, helping people find the right direction, some new opportunities, and maybe even a path to a happier life or a happier career path. So my guest today is Denise DeTommaso. She is with the Entrepreneur Source, who is also having their event this week, starting early last week in Phoenix. So Denise is live at the event. So how are you, Denise? How are you
I'm doing great. It's what an event. We're learning so much here about how we can help folks and find the right options for them in their career, and also take them to hopefully the next level.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that, but I also like to ask, your background. What drove you to want to work with TES and take the coaching path with your career?
Sure. So I was in the industry, basically in the corporate world and in hospital networks for about 30 years. Mm-hmm. And in that journey, I did everything from startups within organizations, managing teams that were global. I learned a lot about businesses and moving things forward. And I got to help a lot of people as a dietitian and a clinician during my stint in the hospitals. I took care of some of the sickest patients and was able to see them recover and live again, which was very much of a blessing. So it just many things, also being a parent of 2 children and now grandchildren. Just have a lot of compassion and love to help people. And having worked in corporations, there's a lot of turnover, a lot of structural issues. Sometimes you have a manager that's not quite right. And there was always a limitation in how much money I could earn or what I could do from an income and or lifestyle perspective that sometimes held me back. And so it was in that journey, after the last corporate role, that I decided that it was time to look at other options for ways that I could meet my own income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity goals, and at the same time help people. And that's how I came to the Entrepreneur Source.
So let's talk about TES, the Entrepreneur Source, as an organization. Obviously, there's other ones to look at when you think about that path.
Right.
Why in particular did you decide this is the right place for me?
Yeah, for me, it was a couple things. Mostly a lifestyle choice in terms of not only being in the position to help others and help people find their, along their path and their journey to find options that help them meet their own income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity goals, but also to the flexibility that I have as a parent of 2 children who both live in Europe, mm-hmm. and of 2 grandchildren that live in Europe. I have the flexibility to work anywhere in the world and still help people in North America and in Canada or some folks in Europe as well, who are looking for to make a change potentially, are not happy in their career, find themselves at a crossroad in their profession to figure out what their options are.
When you talk about figuring out what their options are, obviously everybody's personality is different and their experience levels are different, and they have to be a leader in some way, a leader of their own path, a leader in their business. So what do you look for when you're coaching seekers or candidates to make sure that you find the best possible fit for them in this journey to make sure they are going to be as successful as they can be and optimize the skills they have? Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we have folks that really want to make that change. They just don't know what their options are. And but prior to us helping them understand what those options could be, we spend time really working on their goals. It's very, very important for people to think through in a very firm way. What are their income goals? When I ask that question, people say, well, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
How much money would you like to make every year? What would make you feel comfortable? Where would you like to be in the income arena? How much you want to earn in the next 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, depending
Yeah.
on where they are on their journey. But it's also lifestyle is very important for many people. Flexibility, time with their children, time with their parents and family. Maybe they're traveling a lot and they just want to be able to go to the baseball games on a regular basis, pick their children up at school. Those types of things are really important for folks.
Yeah.
Generally, the wealth and equity piece, which is also important, will come if and when they find that path or that option for themselves, where they are making the income that allows for them to save, that allows them to invest in their retirement plans, that allows them to maybe purchase a first or second home, potentially travel on a regular basis if that's one of their objectives. And then equity comes from that as well, because once you've got some accumulation of funds and some wealth, you can also generate equity. And for a lot of people, family generational wealth is important also. So
Yeah.
we look at all those things based on the individual's requirements and needs. And from there, we look and develop or look at options that can meet their needs and goals. Once we know that, that's when we start to actually go through the educational and discovery process.
When you talk to seekers or people out there who are looking into business ownership, they want to create generational wealth, do you feel like a lot of people do not really think about their future? Like a lot of people get comfortable in a job and they don't think like, well, is this going to be enough money when I'm 60 or 65 or older? Do you think people are not asking themselves the right questions about their financial future? Like when you're out there talking to people about this?
I think people kind of think about it, but often you find that they haven't really thought through it very well.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's fear. They're in a situation where because they don't know what those options are, and they have bills to pay, and maybe they have family members that they're worried about, making sure their children have the right education and food on the table. They don't realize that they have options that can take them out of that place or that space where they might feel stuck.
Yeah.
And they're afraid to try because they don't realize that they have wonderful skill sets that can transfer
Yeah.
into a more entrepreneurial path for themselves that will allow them to do all of the things that they want with their family, that will allow them to earn the money that they need to pay those bills in their mortgage and make sure that the children have food on the table. But then now suddenly they're in a position to begin to save money and begin to think about that next house or that new home or that next step to maybe their dream trip around the world, which is something that maybe they want to take together.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to ask you, Denise, because you were kind of in those shoes at some point. You were like, who were you when you were doing the corporate thing compared to who you are now? Obviously, it's a different feeling, and you have a unique situation because you have family who's overseas. I mean, obviously, you want to have the time to see them, but you also need to work. So, like, what was your life like before and after deciding to go the entrepreneurial route for yourself?
I was very fortunate. I had great opportunities. Mostly, I've always been kind of a fighter and an entrepreneur. And so I tended to find things that allowed me to be an entrepreneur within even a corporate environment.
Yeah.
But I was always limited in how
Yeah.
much money I could earn. There
Yeah.
was always a boss on the other side that was trying to meet a number, and when you're pushing for a quarterly number all the time, sometimes you're not able to be flexible or invest properly or even make the right decisions because that boss has a boss who's telling them, you got to hit this number every quarter, you're driving your team this direction. And we couldn't do sometimes the right thing. And that always frustrated me.
Yeah.
Also, there was a limitation in my earning. There is absolutely, every job has a range, a pay scale. And to get to the next one, maybe it's, X percent on top of that. So maybe if I'm doing sales management, I'm going to make, 150,000 a year. And as a a sales director, I'm going to make 200,000 a year. So there's always a limit, and I wanted something more than that.
Yeah.
I didn't want somebody dictating what I could earn. I wanted to be able to dictate to myself what I want to earn,
Yeah.
or for myself. But also, then you're limited too. You have to be in the office so many days a week. You need to be at this location because somebody's telling you to. Having the option to go and pick my kids up from school was
Yeah.
often not there because I had to travel somewhere else in the world. So it was really there were a lot of things that I didn't like as well. So it was a mixed kind of situation.
Yeah.
And after the pandemic, there was a lot of changes in the industry based on money, based on the fact that the government was no longer spending millions of dollars to find the next vaccine. Companies were under duress, and they restructured and restructured, take their best employees and just said goodbye, and that would be the end.
Yeah.
And I saw that happening, and I just didn't appreciate that. I felt that it was so disrespectful to really good people, and that's when I made the decision it was time to branch out on my own.
And how are you feeling after that decision? I mean, obviously you've got more freedom, more flexibility, but do you feel like you're just in a happier place?
No, I feel happy every day. I
Yeah.
spend my time with people who are going through a similar journey, helping them think through what their next steps might be.
Yeah.
There's nothing more rewarding because for a lot of people, they don't know where to look. These
Yeah.
are not the paths we can take them down are not things that are open to people just in general.
Yeah.
You're not exploring 20 or 30 different business models and different industries. Being able to think about my love is really operations management. What can I do? Or I want a virtual business so I can work from home and be there when my children come home at the end of the day and then
Yeah.
block my calendar for a few hours. They don't have that. So we can show them those kinds of things, show them what their options are, introduce them to people that help them learn what their options are, and then put them in a position to be in the driver's seat to make the decision on their next step.
Yeah. Do you have any stories or cases you've worked with people on that just really was life changing or really stuck out to you?
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of two ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
We see a lot of folks that have been in their career for quite some time,
Yeah.
and they hit their late 40s, early 50s, and suddenly ageism is there, and they might lose their job, and nobody calls them back. And it's so disturbing to see these people with tremendous skill sets. They've had tremendously successful careers, not able to find that next corporate position.
Yeah.
And recently I worked with one gentleman. He's 58. He was laid off for the third time. Maybe it was the fourth. People wouldn't answer the phone. He was looking for work for almost 2 years,
Wow.
having managed teams, having driven the number for the companies that he worked for. It was as if he didn't exist, and his ego was just absolutely destroyed.
Yeah.
And, I spent time with him. He's out in California. He wants to work from home. He wants to have some flexibility. But his skill sets and people skills are tremendous. He came out of the insurance industry. He now owns his own virtual recruitment agency, working with folks who are looking for work in the hospitality industry. He couldn't be happier. He's
Yeah.
earning what he wants to earn. He has that flexibility. He makes the decision of how much work he wants to do. He's able to hire others to join him and his firm who also work virtually and independently as well. And so he's not just blessed himself, but he's blessing others. That's a great story. And I've got the other end of the spectrum. I have young people that are coming in post-pandemic. They've gone into the corporate world. We're seeing tremendous amounts of layoffs, even for people of that age.
Mhm.
And I have one that's 28 and another that's just turned 30. Both of them have said they want to work for themselves. They want to drive their own destiny. And both of them have found different businesses. One is actually in the estate sale business now, and it's very, very happy learning that business. Very excited about helping people downsize and help them get rid of their belongings because they're moving to Florida or whatever it happens to be. Then there's a resale aspect to that whole business as well. And he just is excited about. He and his partner are doing it together. And I have another one who really wanted to be a millionaire by the time he's 40, and now he's on his way.
Wow.
Um, Having purchased he's in the home care industry, or not home care, but home services industry, where with his current business, within 2 years, it's pretty much a recurring revenue model. Once he gets it built up and it's taken care of itself, he can add 2 or 3 additional businesses to it, and he'll be at his million probably before he's 35.
Wow. That's great. That's
Yes.
great.
So that's, that was his goal. That's what we looked for, and that's what we tried to build for him. So great skill sets they all have, great people skills, just helping them figure out how to take those skills into another direction.
So let's talk a little bit about TES as a group, because you guys, there's
Sure.
more than one of you doing
Oh, yes.
this sort of work for people and doing some great things. But you're at the event at Phoenix, which is going on right now.
Correct.
How is that event going? What are you learning there? Just being around everybody.
Well, one of the things about the type of work that we do, we're a franchise and
Yeah.
we're all franchise owners. And one of the
Right.
benefits of being a franchise owner is you work for yourself, but you're never by yourself.
Yeah.
We have mentors, we have coaches, we have people that we can talk with every day that can help us troubleshoot problems. That we get education, support, and learning, and that goes on and on and on. This conferences, that's what this is about. So the 200 and I think there's now 230 coaches that are here
Mhm.
at present, living all over the country, the United States and Canada, some that work from Europe as well. And we also have 220 businesses, along with financial partners and other support people, accountants, legal, and folks that would work with someone who's looking to move in this direction, teaching us about their businesses, teaching us about their business models, helping us understand, what someone's potential would be from an earnings perspective and what those people would be doing every day, so that when
Yeah.
we go back out and we're coaching our folks, we know what their options are, and we're well educated to share those things with them, along with, what financing options are open to them, what kind of funding they might need if they're interested in a certain type of a business,
Yeah.
and what kind of support they can get. And we can share all of that with our folks, and we'll do a better job of that because we're here for these 4 days.
You said there's around 200 or so businesses. Are there any that you've met or looked at or seen that are really, you think really have potential out there in the market right now?
There's so many. That's the
Yeah,
excitement.
I'm
That's the
sure.
exciting part. Home services, but we've got, virtual businesses. We have real estate businesses, property management businesses, um, fitness businesses, healthcare businesses, senior care businesses. It's pretty much any industry that you can imagine are represented here.
Yeah.
Too. A tremendous amount of businesses, signage, graphics, digital marketing, digital advertising, those types of things. They're all here, and more,
Yeah.
and many more. And so we have all of those in our partnership base. And so when someone comes to us, we can really try to find the right options for them based on their goals, based on their skill sets, and based on what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
And specifically, always with lifestyle in mind.
Right. So, I mean, and there's a lot of coaches that do what you do, Denise, but everybody's unique in their own way. How do you think your approach working with candidates or seekers is maybe different than somebody else? Like, how do you apply your own, I guess, your own personality or your own skill set to the process with your candidates?
I think that I think I've been on both sides, and having been in this position of owning businesses, this is my third business actually.
Yeah.
But also having worked on the corporate world, having worked in healthcare, as well as in sales and marketing and managing teams of people, I got to see a lot and I learned a lot. So when talking to the clients, I can often feel their pain, having also been through, downsizing and changes or feeling stuck. I've been in every one of those places.
Yeah.
So I, I think that I just bring that to the table, lots of empathy. And I always encourage people to, move into that evaluation in a very careful way. And I'll challenge them too, help them with their fears, find ways for them to understand, you know, how to manage their anxiety, or work with them and their partner. If, say, for example, the husband wants to do something and the wife is worried, how do we address that? So all of those things are, I think, come from experience and a sense of empathy, and also places where I've myself have failed or struggled. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then bringing that along. So we have great coaches, wonderful, wonderful coaches. I think anyone who works with any of our coaches is fortunate.
And when you say coach, like everybody thinks of a coach like a sports coach, coaches the team, coaches the players. And you brought up earlier about fear. And I think that's a common emotion around the situation. I'm sure you've experienced it. So
Yes.
what have you learned from those situations where you've experienced fear throughout your career, but also when someone says, "Hey, Denise, I want to do something, but man, I am just overwhelmed with the fear and anxiety of failure and that this may not work out." Like,
Right.
how do you walk them through those barriers to, success?
Well, one of the things about the type of businesses we work with, they're very, very, very well validated.
Yeah.
They all have brand names that are known in the industry across the country and in North America, in Canada. People know them. So one of the ways that we help our folks understand what it means to make a change is have them talk to other people who have done what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
That is a fabulous way to help folks with fear. Like, oh my gosh, how am I going to fail? What's going to happen to me? Now they've speaking to folks, they're helping them understand the business. Then they get a chance to go out and talk with folks who have been in their shoes, have walked the walk, have talked the talk, have made the change, told their story, and learn. And from that becomes a sense of calm, or a sense of, less concern, because they know that the model is built, that it works, and they can replicate that and validate that 6, 7, 10, 12 times before they even make a decision.
Yeah.
A lot of times people are afraid financially. So, getting the answers, well, how long is it before I have my first paycheck? How long before I'm starting to have income coming from this business? What's that timeline like? What do I have to do to get there? And then knowing that, oh, if I just did those 5 things every day, I'm going to be just fine.
Yeah.
And then they get a sense of calm, and you see that. Or yes, I do qualify if I need to borrow some funds, and I don't have to pay that back for a long time. And I'm going to, based on the models and everyone I've validated with, bring that in well before that time, and then some, and quite a bit more perhaps. And so I really don't have to worry. And then they can resolve that fear.
I think a lot of people don't realize that there are financial programs, especially for people that are veterans or other people out there, that they don't even realize there are ways to get funding and help to start a business. Can you talk a little bit about like that? What kind of avenues are there out there right now?
Yeah, there's many avenues. It really depends again on what someone's circumstances are.
Yeah.
It can be anything from someone who's unemployed but has a reasonably good credit score. They can get something called an unsecured loan. And that unsecured loan will carry them, start their business, and allow them to be calm and comfortable about going into business, knowing that by the time they need to start making those payments back, they're well able to, maybe they're able to return the majority of the funds back even within a year, depending on how much they need. Other people can take a loan against their retirement fund. It's called a rollover. It's not even a loan, but really you're just taking the money, instead of putting it into the stock market, in the Roth IRA or a municipal fund, you're taking it and actually investing it in your own business. It's seen the same way as the government, as you are currently investing your retirement funds. That can be utilized to buy a business. They have equity in a home, or maybe they have a couple of homes. They can use those funds for or that towards that a purchase of a business and helping them get it up and running, and or for example small business loans, which are commonly used by folks as well. So there's many ways to do that, and some are just families and friends. Sometimes they have a partner, or maybe they have two other people that they have decided would be great partners, and they go in together and they all take some of the risk, but then they also take the reward together as well.
Yeah. Well, this has been very informative, Denise. I appreciate you coming on. If people are listening to this and they do have questions or they want to reach out to you, what's the best way to get in touch?
Sure. Well, there's three ways. I always love a phone call, and that's easy enough to do. And my number is 785-760-4436. Again, that's 785-760-4436. Love phone calls. If I can't get to it, just leave me a voicemail and I'll call them back. Secondly is by email, and that would be at ddetommaso at esorchcoach.com. And then I have a microsite, and I will send you the link. I don't have that with me, but if you don't mind including that in the podcast, then they can reach out through my microsite and just make an appointment on my calendar, and they'll get me at that appointed time, and we can start a discussion. I can see what I can do to help. So I'm happy to help in any of those ways I can. And if for some reason I'm not available, I can always refer them to another great coach. But generally, I am going to get back to them, and I'll do it fairly quickly.
Yeah, no, that's great. If you're listening to this episode and you're at a crossroads, maybe you're in a job, but you don't quite know what you want to do, you want to get out, or any number of circumstances you find yourself in and you're thinking about business ownership, Denise is the one to talk to. So I'll put your link in the description. Thank you so much, Denise. It's been a great conversation, and I hope you have a great rest of your conference there in Phoenix.
Thanks, Ryan. I'm going to go right back now and talk to some of these wonderful business owners that are here and learn as much as I can. So when those phone calls do come, I can do the best job for those that are looking for some coaching and guidance.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Denise. Have a good one.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, this is Ryan with the Business Stories Podcast, and I want to let you know that we are looking for sponsors for episodes. If you have a company that wants to sponsor an episode, please reach out to me at livingryan@gmail.com. And thanks again for listening.